It's Thursday, September 12th, 2019. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we'll be covering on today's show. Another day, another set of leaks for the Google Pixel 4. But at this point, you have to start wondering if it's all one big joke that Google is playing on us. We'll let you know about the latest developments. And if you're a lot like us and you don't want to wait until November 12th for the Disney Plus streaming TV service, we have good news and bad news. It's available right now, but you might have to make a big move in order to get it. And Mr. Caleb Dennison is back in town after his trip to IFA in Berlin, Germany, to fill us in on what he did and did not see when it comes to televisions and what that could mean for the rest of the year. And we have a great segment coming up discussing the concept of always-on computing with Miguel Nunes of Qualcomm Technologies, Inc., showcasing the integration of the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8CX compute platform into laptops. All that and more coming up on today's Digital Trends Live. All right, if that's looking a little bit like summer, I really hope it comes back.
You want it to come back?
I want it to. I know that you hate summer.
I really like this tease. Like, today's actually quite perfect because I'm going to an outdoor event tonight. So I'm glad of this, but I'm really ready for it to just go away.
Yes, the sun is kind of your enemy.
It is my enemy.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured. Well, at least we know where everybody stands. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. This is our daily show here from Digital Trends, bringing you the trending tech topics of the day, news, interviews, headlines, discussions, and so much more, all while broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. We're on LinkedIn Live, Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Dailymotion, Apple News, 2 different mobile apps, a smart television app, and at digitaltrends.com/live. So wherever you're finding us, drop in your comments, drop in your questions, drop in whatever you want throughout the show. We will read them. Sometimes we'll interact with them, but we always enjoy that aspect of the show. And let's get it started right now. I'm Greg Nibbler, joined by Adrian Warner. Hello, Adrian.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. There is much news to talk about today.
There's much news to talk about, all of the exciting headlines that we are going to jump into. I can't wait to get started.
Excellent. Well, let's just do that then right now. All right, let's talk about this. So we like to analyze what the trending stories are, and this, yet again, is a phone rumor day. Every day there's another rumor about phones, but I have to say, Google in particular has really taken the cake as far as with their Pixel 4, their impending Pixel 4, and what's been out there. And now we have this, not one, but 2 different review videos have shown up. Now, let me remind you, the Pixel 4 has not been revealed yet by Google, other than they have shown a little bit as far as what some of the features might be, and we'll talk about that too. But this whole concept of how they're keeping things under wraps is interesting, because we have these 2 different videos that have shown up, both showcasing what appear to be the new Google Pixel 4 and walking through the features like a full hands-on video.
Yeah. They literally, like, with the phone in their hand. I started watching it because I was like, okay, like, every time a teaser comes out, you know, it's usually like a case that's associated with the phone, or, you know, it's a patent or something like that. And this is literally somebody with it in their hand filming in the studio and displaying exactly what it does.
Yeah, and that comes on the heel of what we're looking at right there, which this came out earlier in the week, which appears to be a promotional video from Google showcasing the Pixel 4, and that was leaked online. And this follows on the heels of all kinds of different leaks. I mean, one of the main things is that camera configuration on the back, which looks very similar to what Apple's doing with the iPhone 11.
With the bulge.
Yeah, the bulge, the bulge camera with the 2 to 3 different cameras that'll showcase on that. And that's kind of what we've seen for a while, like that we think that that's what it's going to look like. But now with these hands-on videos, I guess just to cover some of the features that they claim it's going to have, and then I want to talk about just leaks in general.
Right. So it comes with a couple of interesting features that we haven't seen on it so far. Like we have an ambient EQ display, so it adjusts the temperature of the phone as you're using it, like automatically, which is very cool.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Also has a smooth display, which is going to adjust the refresh rate of the display as well, anywhere up to 90 hertz. So that means that is its capability, which we didn't know before.
Yeah, and I that's a really cool aspect as far as, you know, if you're a cinephile or you really like quality video, which if you're going to buy this level of phone, because this is probably going to be the top end, clearly, you want something that's good, but being able to change that refresh rate, that's kind of cool.
That is very cool. Yeah, I have not seen that in phones before, and not to my knowledge, exactly. Right. And it also confirms, these videos confirm the colorways, which I mean is something that I think is more and more popular these days. So it comes in white, it comes in black, which we already knew, and then it also has a coral color.
Yeah, the coral color actually looks pretty cool.
It looks really nice.
I don't think I would get it, but I like that it's there. That's kind of where I'm at on that. But this is, again, based on these videos that have shown up. about Google Pixel 4. And Google's responded in the past to some of these to where they're like, okay, fine, a lot of it was the motion sense, which if you don't know what that is, that's essentially the ability to control the phone without touching it, using different motions to swipe. And they said, all right, well, you've talked about this, you leaked this, fine, here's a video. And they showcase, this is an actual Google video showcasing the motion sense, saying, yeah, it's going to be coming out in the Google Pixel.
Yeah, they don't seem terribly concerned.
They don't, which I kind of like that approach, actually.
I kind of do too. I kind of like that owning up to it and going, yep, you like that
sure
detail?
is.
Okay, here's some more. Because that kind of keeps the buzz going and the hype going, as opposed to just this one-day event where everybody's scrambling to get all of the details, analyze them as quickly as possible. It's kind of like a slower rollout.
Yeah, and it kind of juxtaposes with some of what the other phone manufacturers do. So they're definitely taking a different kind of stance. Apple usually just doesn't comment, although in all fairness, the iPhone 11, a lot of those specs, if not all, the majority of them were leaked ahead of time too. It's really hard in this day and age, as I've gathered, based on what we've seen. With everybody getting this information, whether it's from patents, whether it's from leaks, whether it's from case manufacturers, it's apparently very hard to keep a lot of that top secret information under wraps. And it makes sense. These are the biggest phone manufacturers in the world. Samsung, Apple, Google, Huawei, they all kind of deal with it. But Google just going in that other direction with it, I think is a good marketing approach. Yeah. I appreciate it. Although we haven't heard what they're saying to these ones in particular. And these could be fake. We don't know for sure. Just judging on what we've looked at, if they're fake, they're very, very well
They're
done.
very, very high production level.
Yeah, it would take a lot of work to get to that level. But that's what it is. So there's a couple of different videos. We showcased one of them. It was from a YouTuber in Vietnam who had this. And so, yeah, taking a look at what they had. But, yeah, lots of leaks coming out about this. And Google's event, we don't know for sure, but probably in October. That's usually when they announce the new Pixel. And at this point, they might as well just
confirm.
Yeah, roll it on out. Let us see what it is. Either way, the phone looks great.
It does look great. The Pixel has been, very impressive over and over again. Each one that comes out, we always give it really good reviews on digitaltrends.com, and it's also really well known for its high-end camera that comes in the phone, which we'll be talking about later today on Trends with Benefits.
We will indeed.
Tune in at 2:30.
Nice. Good plug. Trends with Benefits, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, live here on Digital Trends. Yeah, the one thing that I am excited to see is what Google does with the internal side of it as far as the software and processing. Because at this point, everybody has good cameras.
Right.
All the cameras are ending up really well. There it is. There's this is part of the video with this alleged hands-on the Google Pixel 4. That's showcasing I believe the refresh rate is what they're talking about in that. But again, if it's faked, it's really well done. So good production job on that. But I kind of don't think it is. I kind of think that's real. But yeah, as far as the processing power, that's more what we would get at the actual event, where we can get the actual details on what they can do.
It does have that Snapdragon 855 chip in it, which I know that we've seen in quite a few phones right now.
Right.
So it's definitely very impressive processing power, and it has a beautiful display for that refresh rate, that 1440p. So there's a lot of interesting details around it.
Able to pull off some impressive things, hopefully. Well, we'll find out more, but you can read everything that we've gathered so far about the Google Pixel 4 and every other phone. Of course, there's all the Apple news this week that you can handle, but you can check that out as well. But all of that is at digitaltrends.com. All right, continuing on, we've got some more headline news for you here in a minute, but it is now time for Read 'em and Weep, where we take a look at some of the comments that come through across our many different platforms, and we address them directly to you right now, looking us, as I always say, in the eyes. Look at Adrian. Look at her. Imagine you're typing those comments directly to her right now. So let's see how you feel about it. All right, we're going to take a look. We're going to take a look and see what people had to say. So again, these are the ones across our platforms. I do want to say thank you to everybody who's tuning in live, who's joining us right now.
A lot of buzz about what we're going to be talking about later. Oh,
yes. Coming up.
Ray Soto says, around Uber, says drivers aren't an essential part of its business, won't comply with the California bill. Without drivers, Uber wouldn't be Uber, and that's just common sense. Uber better get a better lawyer.
Yeah, that is.
This is a really interesting news that is happening right now, where they are exploring the transition of mandating that everybody that works for them is an employee, which could mean all kinds of things, that they would have to set hours for them, that all of these regulations that people want and don't want on both sides.
Yeah, it's going to be a really big shift, and this is a California bill. I don't believe the governor, Gavin Newsom's, signed it yet, but most likely it'll get signed. And yeah, it's to force gig economy employees like Lyft, Uber, Grubhub, all those kinds of jobs where they would have to treat their employees not like contractors yet, but like employees, and that's big.
It is big, especially because these companies are so huge.
What I love Uber being the biggest one, just saying, no, that doesn't apply to me. Yeah, no, that's neat, but that's not how we work. I mean, you are the biggest one, so it is an interesting stance, but they've got a lot of money to fight this. There's a lot that's going to be unraveling.
Yeah, we'll see how they battle that. We'll see how good their lawyer is.
Yeah, but Ray, I do agree with that. All right, let's continue on here. That was Ray on Facebook. All right, on Shuman Prakash regarding how 5G will change your smartphone and your life in 2019. They've already hacked my brain with 4G. Every time I open YouTube to just see a short video, I end up watching hours about everything that I don't want to know. You know what? You may be onto something.
You may be onto something.
Maybe onto it. All right.
With 5G, we will be watching days and years of everything that we don't want to know.
Just plug directly in.
Plug in.
Bring on the Matrix. I'm ready. Let's just do that.
Never tune off.
You know what? If I can dodge bullets and jump off of buildings and all that stuff, I mean, yeah.
I can eat delicious fake steak. That's fine.
I'm in. Plug in.
All right, Tillis Larry. The iPhone 11 Pro, here's what to expect from Apple's September event. Sorry, I don't like my TV having bite marks in it, nor my phone. I won't get another iPhone until they plan on removing that large chunk of missing screen from the top that they dare to call a notch.
Wow.
Whew.
One of the fiercest notch stances I think we've seen for a while. People get really worked up about that notch. So the iPhone 11 still has the notch at the top. I believe it's partially because of their Face ID system, from what I understand from what Andy Boxall was saying. You can read more about that at Digital Trends. Regardless, people get very upset about this. I want to ask you, Adrian, what is your stance on the notch?
It does not bother me.
That's the same way.
Does not concern me at all.
Just don't care.
I just don't mind.
Yeah, it really is not a big deal. But for some people, like Tillis, it is a big deal.
It is a big
deal.
deal.
I understand that. There are people here at Digital Trends, too. I know to watch carefully. There are people who get very upset about this. Juliana, who gets really worked up about the notch, does not like the notch. I mean, eventually we're going to get rid of them.
I would assume that, eventually, things will be embedded in us and we won't care about notches anymore, so.
We'll be in a notch-free society. That's what we're aiming for. Well, that is a stance that a lot of people do have, so I understand that. My stance is more, it's $1,000. I don't want to spend $1,000. So that's where I'm at.
That's fair. So if you don't want to spend $1,000 on a notch, I understand that.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, Scott Thornhill, 328,000 birds are killed by windmills each year. These new turbines don't have blades. A new study says that domestic house cats kill between 1.4 billion and 3.7 billion birds in the U.S. each year. Are we going to get rid of cats now, too?
Okay.
You know what else kills birds? Glass buildings. So there's a lot of things that we could do to prevent this. I am agreeing with Scott. Like, he's basically saying, like, this is, how do we want to tackle this?
I know that we talk about read 'em and weep. I wasn't sure if there was some weeping that was going to happen right there. It felt like it was
birds.
Close. It was close to a moment.
Really love birds.
Do you own birds? Do you have a bird?
I don't have a bird. I think that would be obnoxious to have a bird in your house. I like birds. I appreciate birds from far away.
Yeah.
But I used to work in an all-glass building, and the most depressing thing was when birds on a daily basis would whack into the window, and then you'd see them dead on the ground every day, and that depressed me. I'm not gonna lie.
Read 'em and weep is really taking a turn today.
This is really getting dark.
We were on that path, Scott. I thank you for your comment, and you are right.
I do approve of renewable energy.
Yes.
I do not approve of getting rid of cats.
There we go. There's our stance. All right, Steve Jacob regarding the InnovaGoods holder straps your smartphone to your steering wheel. But what happens if the airbag deploys when you're watching Netflix and not the road? Do you get a phone smashed in your face too? Good question. This is one of those things where, sometimes we see tech innovations or new gadgets that are like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Never even knew I wanted that. This is a terrible idea to me.
This is a terrible idea.
I do not
also,
like this
we have a typo in steering wheel on our end.
Whoops.
So, whoops. Yeah, no, don't strap your phone to your steering wheel.
Because they were typing it on their phone while they were driving.
Probably, yeah, while they were driving.
That's how we post our articles. Well, yeah, I would say that's probably not a good idea. No. Plus, I mean, how much fun is that? You're turning and trying to watch it.
And then you're trying to read it.
At the same time.
And trying to get notifications. I mean, imagine following Google Maps like that. You'd be just like, all around it. This is just... Doing the rest of the show like this today.
Yes, there it is. Please, we need the demonstrations. All right, we got to get back on track.
Get back
that
to
was
news.
Read 'em and Weep. Thank you, everyone who writes in every single day. That's one of our favorite segments, so we do appreciate it. And again, we're broadcasting live, so if you have comments, questions you want to drop those in. We will absolutely address those as we go through the show. But let's get to this. This is something that I know a lot of people
Yes, a
are
lot of
excited about.
people in our comments are really, really excited about this. So Disney Plus, which is going to be coming out to markets on November 12th. This is the anticipated launch date. It is now available for free in the testing market, not in the U.S. It is available currently in the Netherlands as a limited demo. So that is one of the launch markets for Disney. And I will say that there is a direct flight from Portland to Amsterdam if we need to go there and find out what this is like.
I mean, I have made it no secret that Disney's going to get my money. They're going to get a lot of people's money. I mean, it's $7 a month to start with. You know that's not going to last, but $70 or $70 for the first year. And this demo, the fact that there's even something out there now, it's smart, a smart move on Disney's part. Although I wish it wasn't just the Netherlands. I mean, congratulations, Netherlands, you win. But that's taking a look at what the platform is. And some of the reviews that are coming through are just talking about how it's similar to Netflix. One of the reviews I read was, despite how much content is on there, and there's a lot, it is clear, this isn't like a Netflix bevy of content. You don't have that much. But there's still a lot that's being unveiled as far as what's going to be available. Talking about the platform, how you have the 5 different ones to watch. You have the regular Disney stuff, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, and Pixar. All have their own pages.
Oh, okay.
So you can go to each one of those and check things out.
There's a separate section for 4K and for UHD, although you can't search specifically by that content yet. So
at least not yet.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see if that is something that they add in as a feature later.
Yeah, they did say, a couple of other things, that it works on all different devices. So people who have been testing it out, it works on pretty much everything from what we've been reading anyway. Works on Safari, works on Chrome, works on different devices, works on televisions, works on mobile. So it sounds like they've got that really worked down. And the reviews so far from people who have tried it are saying that it's pretty much error-free. Like it works really well. As far as what the content is, that's something that you have to figure out. They said that some of the Disney movies are designed definitely, towards children, but they have like a princess and fairy tales section, which is designed for the kids.
Yeah, and you can also you can make a kid's profile so that you can censor certain content from getting to kids as well, which is pretty standard for streaming platforms nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. And they said, according to a help page within it, that upon the launch, there's going to be we'll have more than 7,500 television episodes and over 500 film titles on the catalog. So that's still a lot of content, and that's we're not even getting into the fact of the original content, and that's the stuff that I think everybody's really excited about. And the Star Wars, The Mandalorian will launch, I believe, at the launch date. So November 12th, you'll be able to watch that, which is huge. Really excited about that. But yeah, just a lot of different options that are coming with it. So I think it's one more thing that just leads down this line of I can't wait to get it.
Yeah, it's generating a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
And I mean, you will be one of the first to sign up and tell us hands-on how it is, I'm sure.
Yes, unless Disney wants us to review it early. I mean, I'm just putting that out there. Happy to accommodate that. But yeah, that's the news. So if you are in the Netherlands, you can now get this. No word if there's going to be other countries that'll get a demo version. I would guess not. But I don't know. Who knew the Netherlands was going to be so lucky?
We're getting really close to the launch date anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, mid-September already. So we have 2 months. So if they launch it in other places, it might just be like 1. But I don't know why they would bother, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting that they got that out. I mean, it definitely keeps the publicity going, especially on the heels of Apple TV Plus. Probably there we go. That may be a little bit of it right there. Figured it out. The ad wizards. But yeah, it's, with Apple TV Plus, it's going to launch on November 1st. It's going to be nowhere near as much content as Disney Plus.
No.
But we'll see how many devices have it. It's really heating up. It's really exciting I'm really a fan of the TV
It's a melting pot of
wars.
streaming.
Yes, it's exciting. It's an exciting time. But you can check out that and read more about it at digitaltrends.com. All right, a couple other trending stories to get to. Let's talk about this. Tesla. So yesterday, Elon Musk posted something on Twitter. It's talking about how the Tesla Model S had just broken a record.
Yes.
And apparently they did.
Apparently they did, yeah. At the Laguna Sega Raceway, sorry, Raceway in Monterey, California.
Sega's next.
Yes, Sega is next. I don't know how I messed that up. So it hit a top speed of 129 miles an hour, and it beat the original record, which the Model 3 set previously. So it completed the lap in 1 minute and 36 seconds.
And this comes on the heel of a bunch of records this week as far as electric vehicles. This is the 4-door record that they
the
made.
sedan record.
Yeah, there was the 2-door record earlier this week, I believe, from Bugatti. So you're seeing all these electric vehicles, though, and how this competition is heating up. And there's a couple different things here that I think this reflects and that I think is good for all of us, because these are very high-end vehicles. So the chances that you're going to be getting, the Porsche Taycan, or that you're going to be getting a one of those Bugatti 300, I think it was like $3 million or something like that. Probably pretty slim. If you are, great, good for you. But seeing these high-end competitions with these big manufacturers, that means they are really embracing electric vehicles, and all of that is the kind of thing that filters down.
Yeah, it's all going to trickle down. And I mean, while the Model S is still a high-end car, it's probably using that sports package that may be obviously quite higher end, but it is still within the range of attainability, and it's it's pushing the performance levels for electric vehicles, which we already know go from 0 to 60 in like an insane amount of time. So it's really putting it into that perspective of people who are like, oh, I want really high end performance in my car. Usually that means a huge engine.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
Yeah, we're kind of on the verge of a lot of this innovation is coming to fruition, and now Elon Musk said he's going to take it to Nürburgring, which is the racetrack in Germany. It's kind of like the staple where everybody races against each other, all these high-end cars.
Yeah.
Who can beat it, who can go the fastest.
An official from that track did say that they were booked out for the rest of the season, and said that Elon Musk had not officially booked a race, so we'll see.
I'm going to guess if you're Elon Musk, you can work some...
Probably can work something
somehow.
out. Probably can bump somebody off.
How'd he get in the list? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll be able to figure it out. But yeah, he said he's going to take it there to challenge the Porsche for the record for Nürburgring. So this competition is fun. It's fun to watch. But really, yeah, that overall theme of these are the big players. This is what they're putting their money and time into. They want to get these records, and that means they want to get these cars eventually to market. So it's a lot more than just that, and it's exciting. We'll see where this development goes and what other things we get out of this.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So you can read about that at digitaltrends.com.
All right, and moving on to the actual Sega news. We currently have a review up on digitaltrends.com of the Sega Genesis Mini, which has been really wowing a lot of fans. It's basically on the heels of the SNES and all of these launches of these, miniature devices of older consoles, and it comes with a really huge array of games, a huge array of classics. It's super plug and play, has lots of fun features, and our editors really enjoyed it.
Yeah, our editors were, especially Stephen Petit, who is doing the review for this one. He was talking about the controller. He said it feels like the original controller.
He says it even has a couple of like non-functioning, old school little, I don't know, features, I guess. So
yeah,
apparently
where you would plug in different things.
Yeah, the original one had a non-operable volume slider, and so does this one. So it really does speak to that nostalgia, and it comes with awesome games like Echo and Castlevania. It has a whole bunch of Mega Man games as well.
Yeah, there's 42 games, I believe, that are available for it, which is that it comes preloaded with. It looks fun. I was never a huge Sega player, but there were a couple of games.
I never had a Sega Genesis as a kid.
I think everybody had like that one friend who had one.
Right,
and that's what I had. I had a friend who had a Sega Genesis, and that's the one I would play. Although I do have to dispute one thing in our review.
Oh.
I just want to call Steven out on this. He said Golden Axe is a terrible game. You are wrong about that, Steven. So I am disputing that. Golden Axe is awesome, at least as 13-year-old me remembers. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But
internal beef going on.
Very much, yeah. We're really a lot of internal turmoil here at Digital Trends. No, it's a great review. You can check that out at Digital Trends and pick up your own Sega Genesis. You can pre-order it now. It's $80. Comes out on September 19th. I think it's definitely going to be a hit for
Yeah, I think so.
People. Well, you can, again, read about that at digitaltrends.com. And we have a lot of content, though, coming up here on Digital Trends Live. But first off, thank you, Adrienne.
Thank you for having me.
Always fun. And always fun having everybody here on the show, like interacting and talking and commenting. And we have a great interview coming up next. So we talked a little bit about Star Wars. If you're a Star Wars fan, you are not going to want to miss what is coming up next. We have the author of Black Spire, which provides the backstory of Galaxy's Edge. I am already excited. I'm trying not to get flustered here because this is so cool. So we're going to be talking to the author, Delilah S. Dawson, is going to be joining the show. So we're going to discuss what that's like, exploring that world and what it means. And we've got the book here too, so we'll be showcasing that. So stick around, drop in your comments, your questions, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. We broadcast live every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and we thank everybody who joins us here. It's interactive. Drop in your comments, your questions, and I have to say, I am really excited about this next segment. I'm Greg Nibbler, and we all know about the launch of Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. If you're a Star Wars fan, if you're a Disney fan, I mean, it's huge. It's one of the most exciting theme parks that we've ever seen come out, but there's more to it than that, because right now there is a backstory to that, and we have the author of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire, right here joining us. It is Delilah Dawson. Hello, thank you so much for being here on the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
I have so many questions for you. We want to get through and we want to talk about with this. But for everybody who's watching, can we get some of your backstory? And I know you've authored so many different books, but just what led up to this point of authoring this one?
Sure. Mine is kind of an unusual story. I didn't always want to be an author. I was an artist. I grew up working at nonprofit art centers and painting murals. I have an art degree. And when my second child was about 9 months old, he stopped sleeping. And I stopped sleeping. And it kind of broke my brain. I started hallucinating talking rats in the walls. And I went to my husband and said, okay, I think I have a problem. And he said, let's get you sleep, but you also need a hobby. You should do something just for you. And I said, I can't. I have babies. And he said, well, you should write a book. And my brain was so broken. I said, yeah, sure. Okay, I'll do that. And yeah, so within a month and a half, I guess, I had a book that I'd written, and I learned online how to get traditionally published, and I queried it, and by the time I got to my third book, it sold in a 3-book deal.
Wow, you know that's not how it normally works. That's a pretty amazing arc for that, to get right into it. Clearly, there's some talent there that you found by talking to the rats in the walls.
Oh yeah, there's value there.
Well, getting from there, to this 3-book deal, and now you're here writing, the Star Wars book, this Galaxy's Edge. And I know it's not the first one in the series, but can we get a little bit of a backstory for everybody out there who wants to know what this book is about, and then we'll talk about how it translates into the theme park.
Sure. I guess my Star Wars story starts with The Perfect Weapon, which is a novella I wrote about bounty hunter Bazine Natal from The Force Awakens. And then I got to write Phasma, which was the backstory of Captain Phasma. And to tell Phasma, we needed a main character who was a resistance spy, a new character that we hadn't seen before. And so we created Vi Moradi, who is General Organa's best spy. And she's the one who teases out Phasma's backstory. And when we open with Black Spire, we see General Organa sending Vimerati out to a planet where Leia says we need a place that no one cares about, someplace far off in the galaxy where the First Order won't come to look for us. We need recruits and we need a base. So please go out and make that happen. And so Vimerati ends up at Blackspire Outpost, which we know as Galaxy's Edge.
So this is where Vimerati ends up there. Now, talking about this and going out to see the actual, Galaxy's Edge, I understand that you were out there not very long ago. What is it like being there and seeing this and walking through this experience with these characters and this world that you've helped fill in the backstory? I mean, you have filled in the backstory for it. What is that experience like?
I always say it's kind of like that time on Sesame Street where finally everyone got to meet Snuffleupagus and realized that Big Burn hadn't been hallucinating his best friend for 20 years. Galaxy's Edge is my Snuffleupagus. It's real. You can walk through it. I think maybe my fellow Star Wars writer Zoraida Cordova, who wrote Crash of Fate, she and I and J.K. Rowling might be the only people who can walk into a world that we got to write before we ever got to go into it. So it's otherworldly. All the little details, I get caught up looking at them. There's so much to see there. And we were able to, in my book Blackspire, I got to see the Disneyland Galaxy's Edge before my final edit. So I incorporated little details that caught my eye into the book. So if you've read the book, as you go through, you'll find out where Savvy and his gatherers get their lightsaber parts. You'll find out who carved the little wooden convoys and frog dogs in Zabaka's toy shop. So you'll get all of these little glimpses into this world. And, otherwise you might be walking through and you'll see a tree covered with ribbons and think, oh, that's weird. I wonder what that is. And then you read the book and you find out why the Trilon wishing tree is covered with ribbons.
That's great to see. And that's what I kind of wanted to ask too, is just get into that, is how it ties into the live action events. And I haven't been to it myself, so I haven't experienced it yet.
You gotta go.
I gotta go. That needs to happen soon. But how this, ties in, do you think this is something that everybody should read before they go experience the theme park?
Well, I mean, of course I think that. But if you're the kind of person who likes the backstory, who wants the inside information and the Easter eggs, it's a really fun thing. It's almost kind of a scavenger hunt after you read the book to find the things in the book. There's a character named Kimbe who's in the book. There's a K2 droid that one of the characters interrogates that you can see in the Droid Depot. So it's got that fun insider edge. And then also, at one point when you're in the park, there's a really good chance that Vimerati will sidle up to you and bring you into the Resistance, ask you to help her evade some bucketheads. She is a real person, and she will interact with you, and knowing her backstory is super fun. I know people are telling me on Twitter that they're asking her what her latest knitting project is, because we set up in Phasma that Vi is a really bad knitter, but that's what she does when she's stressed, and she's stressed all the time.
Well, yeah. So with that kind of interaction, and this experience that's so unique, like you said, J.K. Rowling, somebody else who can have this, but what is it like, I would say for somebody who's going in there to experience Galaxy's Edge, what are some key things they should know, do you think, based upon the book when they go in and experience it?
Well, you should know that everyone there is a character. They're not, just Disney people from Orlando. Everyone there you can interact with. It's the closest you can come to a Star Wars LARP. They all have personalities, backstories. They can tell you about the other parts of Batuu. They can point out points of interest to you. You definitely want to read it if you want to know more about the drinks and the food, because there's so much good things to eat and drink in Galaxy's Edge, especially in Oga's Cantina. When you go in there, the variety of drinks they have, and they're all the taps for all of the beers and ciders are all different. There's a Rancor tooth, there's lightsaber handles, there's carved porgs. So you'll want to know about that. And then you'll also want to know about, there's a datapad app in the Disney Play app. You can download that. And when you go there, you can open it up when you're in Blackspire Outpost, and you can translate the Aurebesh. If you can't read something, it'll translate it. You can hack the doorways. You can talk to droids. You can take jobs. So if you hook up with that, when you ride the Falcon, you can get paid for it and download credits onto your app. So it's a really fun way to interact with things and find out about how to help the Resistance or the First Order and really become a part of it.
That sounds so much fun. I am ready to go right now. Well, with Blackspire out, and I want to let everybody know where they can get it and give all of that information, but I have to ask, now that this is out, is this something where we're going to get more of this story going on? Will we get to see more of this world exploring Galaxy's Edge? I'm sure you probably can't tell me, but I figured I had to ask anyway.
Anytime Star Wars asks me to jump, I will definitely say how high because it means so much to me. I do have another Star Wars book out in October called The Skywalker Saga. That's a fairy tale retelling of episodes 1 through 8, the movies, kind of like a read out loud coffee table book for kids with gorgeous illustrations. So that'll be my next Star Wars book. And then I also write Star Wars Adventures comics whenever they ask me to as well. So there's always something great coming up.
What a fun world. What a fun job that you've found yourself into after that. That's so cool. And I want to say thank you so much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live. Really, really appreciate it. But for everybody who wants to pick up this book, because I'm sure there's a lot of people right now, I know it just came out, but what is the best place that you would recommend for them to go to?
Your local indie bookstore is a great place to support. You can also find them at all the regular online haunts. If you want a signed one and you can't get to one of my events, you can look at the Books A Million signed edition, and then Barnes & Noble has an edition with a special fold-out map where you can see a lot of the characters and places already in Galaxy's Edge to help you on your way.
So cool. Well, Delilah, thank you very much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live. Really appreciate it. Fantastic interview, and can't wait to go check out not only the book, I'm going to read that, but go check out the world afterward that you've helped create. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. May the force be with you.
Nice. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining here on Digital Trends Live. Really appreciate it. That was awesome. So we have a lot, though, coming up. A lot of amazing things that we're going to be talking about in just a little while. We're going to have Miguel Nunes from Qualcomm Technologies, Inc. joining us to talk about the Snapdragon 8CX compute platform and how we have this whole concept of always-on computing now. So that's coming up in a little while. But before that, we're going to take a break, and then Mr. Caleb Dennison is back from IFA in Germany to talk about televisions. What did he see? What kind of trends does he expect? We're going to be talking about that. So if you have questions, comments, whatever you want, drop those in there to Digital Trends on whatever platform you're watching. We'll be back in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. This is Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us. Wherever you're joining us, hit that subscribe button. That way you get the notifications when we go live, just like that. That is how you do it. All right, we have a lot to talk about here because Digital Trends, we're fortunate enough that we are covering worldwide tech news, and somebody right here with me just did exactly that. I'm Greg Nibbler, joined now by Mr. Caleb Dennison. Hello, Caleb.
Good morning. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Well, you've been cavorting all over the world to Germany and wherever else you ended up.
Little bit of Scotland. That was for fun. Germany for business, though.
Okay, Scotland's fun, Germany business. That's the general travel lines for those. Well, let's talk about Germany in particular. So just recently, in case anybody doesn't know, was IFA in Berlin, which is essentially Europe's version of the Consumer Electronics Show.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. It's a little bit cooler, actually, than
Really?
the Consumer Electronics Show that happens in Vegas every year in January because the public is invited. Consumer Electronics Show is kind of a purely industry event, you know,
Yeah.
so you've got buyers and sellers and press and all the big brands. But IFA has all the big brands and all that good stuff, plus it lets the public in. So there are kids running around this show checking out some of the latest technology. And the great thing about IFA, at least in the past, has been that it's been kind of a foreshadowing for CES. So we see stuff there before we actually see it here in the US, and it kind of gives us a glimpse at what we're going to be looking at for 2020.
But you said usually.
Usually. So this was an interesting show in that none of the big brands came very hard this year. Like last year, it was all 8K. Like 8K came out, some amazing 8K TVs. LG showed off its 8K OLED for the first time last year, and it was a big deal. This year, like Samsung's biggest announcement was a fridge. And it was a cool fridge, don't get me wrong, it was a very cool fridge, but it's like, hey, here's a fridge, and here's a vacuum, and here's some cool streaming service news for Europeans, but no big news from those guys. There were some cool TVs, though.
That's what, because when it comes to the televisions, I know that's what you're always looking for.
Yeah.
You want to see the newest and biggest.
I'm looking for the latest and greatest, and there was actually only one new TV debuted. I think viewers can see it on the screen right now. It's made by Philips, and you see the Philips brand here in the U.S., but that's not the real Philips. That's made by an Asian company called Funyai. The good Philips stuff is only over in Europe, and they made an outstanding-looking OLED TV.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's true. Toshiba's not really Toshiba either, by the way. Anyway,
Spoilers.
we saw an amazing OLED from Philips that had a really cool soundbar with it's a B&W soundbar with a B&W's classic tweeter. Absolutely stunning. That was the one new thing we did see there.
So the soundbar is integrated into it?
Yep, exactly. And it sounded stunning. I mean, the dialogue was super, super clear. It was a gorgeous OLED TV. Made me want one, but I can't have one. Sorry.
Because it's just in Europe.
Because it's just in Europe, yeah. But that was the only brand new TV that was brought to the show.
So the rest of it were kind of some of the same things that we've seen before. I'm sure impressive or?
Sort of. So number 2 on my list of the 5 coolest TVs that were at the show, whether they were new or not, was actually from TCL. You hear a lot about them from us lately because they've been doing some big things in TV and making a lot of waves because the quality for the price is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
TCL has a new technology, and this is important. It's called Mini LED, and it doesn't sound like a big reinvention of things. That's because it's not. They just managed to pull it off in a way that nobody else has. So talk about really, really tiny, dense clusters of tiny LEDs as the backlight for the TV. It's almost as flat as OLED. It almost has the black levels of OLED, but the brightness that exceeds OLED. It's the first real alternative to OLED TV that I've seen so far. For instance,
Nice.
the 65-inch version of the TV has like 15,000 LED lights in them, whereas most just have a couple hundred.
So when it comes to something like that, you know, the first real competition that you're saying, what about price-wise?
So we don't know a whole lot about the price yet. They haven't been priced out. That's going to happen very soon.
Okay.
But they're going to come available in the U.S. soon. You can get a 4K mini LED TV or an 8K mini LED TV. The 8K will be expensive even for TCL.
Right.
But I think these 4K mini LED TVs from TCL are going to give OLED a run for its money. And when we see what the pricing difference is, I think it's going to be a slam dunk for TCL.
And TCL usually does come in, I mean, surprisingly lower, which I still have to tell a lot of people a lot of times when they're asking what television. I'm like, well, if you see a TCL, know that it's a really good television just based on your review.
Yeah, exactly. And this technology is just above and beyond. I mean, you know, Samsung and Sony don't have anything like it yet. So I'm really excited to see it come out. you can check out digitaltrends.com for our mini LED coverage. They actually showed it off to us in New York, but this was the first time I got to see it live and in person. I'm telling you, I was super impressed. It looks gorgeous. I'd buy that in a heartbeat, no doubt.
And that takes a lot.
Yeah.
You see all of the television, so you know.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, Caleb's not going to mess around if it's not something that's great. He's not going to say it. So those were again walking through some of the 5 ones that you did like, and then we want to kind of prognosticate a little bit about what's going to be going on in the future.
Yeah. So
what were a couple of the other ones? That
I can bust through these really quick because we've talked about them before. Sharp had a 120-inch 8K monster TV. It's not a projector. It's a TV. It looked just amazing. I mean, this is the best argument for
how huge that is with the guy standing next to it.
I know. It's we're glad that he walked in because getting the scale was kind of crazy. But yeah, absolutely massive 8K TV showing why you need 8K resolution when you get to a really big screen size. Would you put something like that in your living room? I don't know, but I'm telling you, it looked amazing.
Fit in my living room.
And then Samsung, they came out with a 55-inch version of their Q900. That's their 8K line of TVs. And 55, a lot of people are saying, hey, that's great. It gets it down to a size that more people are buying and, maybe more affordable. But I actually push back on that. 65 is the new normal for people buying TVs right now. It's the biggest growing segment. And 55 inch is just too small to need 8K. So yeah, I'm not going to buy into this. Sorry, Samsung, it's great that you expanded your line, but nobody needs an 8K 55-inch TV. If you're going to buy a 55-inch TV, just get a really good 4K TV with HDR, and you're going to be happy. Okay. And then the last thing, LG, as I mentioned before, introduced its 88-inch 8K OLED TV last year. This year they brought it again. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. I'm going to go review it next week, so spoiler alert on that. It's going to be a fantastic review. Sorry. But it's amazing that it took them this long to actually start shipping it. That was the news around IFA, was that they had the TV there again, but they started shipping it to customers for the grand old price of $40,000.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
bargain.
You gotta. It's a chunk of change. It's an expensive TV,
Just
but
sell my house.
Man, is it amazing.
No, it does sound like it's a great television.
Yeah. So I mean, fun to look at this stuff, but I was a little disappointed, and I kind of started wondering, what does this mean exactly? Like, biggest tech show in Europe, and nobody has any TVs to show, which are usually the big headliners for the show. I mean, computing is awesome. Sometimes we don't see much in the way of gaming. Sometimes a little bit mobile, but mobile usually goes to Mobile World Congress. Computing is very big at CES. Got a little bit of attention at IFA. I have to wonder what this means. And here's my guess. I think it means that the big manufacturers are gearing up for something big at CES. That or they're having trouble innovating. But we've seen, year after year, these guys just coming out with something amazing. And I know we put a lot of pressure on these people. Like, we're constantly expecting them to reinvent the wheel and come out with the next big thing.
Right, that's hard.
You can only do that for so long. So it's possible that it was just a slow year. But the fact of the matter is, these companies need and want that attention. And if they didn't get it at IFA, I think they're going to get it at CES. So this could be a very big year for TVs at CES. And I mean, I'm excited.
Are you thinking like rollable televisions? Are we thinking?
Well, we already have, LG already has that roll-up OLED.
Like more of them?
Yeah, we might see some more of those.
Foldable television?
We might see some completely new display technology like TCL did with Mini LED. I know Hisense is working on a dual LCD layered TV that's supposed to be pretty cool. I've seen it in action. It is impressive, but I really need to dig in before I get too excited about that. But what is Samsung going to bring a micro LED TV that is actually like a normal screen size for a house, like 75 or 65 inches, that they're going to put on the market and actually sell? That could be big news. I don't know. We'll see. Not knowing is half the fun, honestly. I like being surprised. I hate it when I know everything going into these shows. I don't mind a little bit of a surprise here and there. It gets me excited for it. So,
well, good. I mean, and that's why we get to follow along, with everything that you get to go see and check out.
I will tell you, this holiday season is going to be gangbusters. If you're thinking about buying a TV, hold out for a little bit. The holiday season is going to be nuts. This Black Friday is just going to be crazy. We're going to see TVs that are already priced really, really well hit rock bottom pricing, and man, everybody's going to make out like a bandit. I'm excited.
That is good. That is good to know.
Yep.
I will wait. Caleb, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
For joining us. For explaining all of this, and you can follow along with all of Caleb's coverage at digitaltrends.com as well. And join us a little bit later today at 2:30 p.m. Pacific for our Roundtable Tech Podcast, Trends with Benefits.
Yep, I will be there.
We're going to be talking about cameras. So a lot going on with that, and we have a lot coming up here on Digital Trends Live, so stick around. What we're going to do is take a quick break. We're going to be coming back, and we're going to be talking about a new platform for nurses and for hiring. I have a lot of nurses in my family. This is an important segment for me. I have to make sure I get all the information right. But we've got Iman Abuzaid, who's going to be joining us, the CEO and co-founder of Incredible Health, and a new way for people to connect, especially in that industry. So we're going to be discussing that and more. Drop in your comments, your questions, whatever you want to talk about back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Again, thank you everyone who joined us, whatever platform you're watching on. Hit that subscribe button, then you get the notifications when we do go live, and we have a lot of things that we cover here. I'm Greg Nibbler, and this next segment is actually very exciting for me because I have a lot of nurses in my family and friends, and this is a really great prospect and a really great way this platform is working to connect nurses with hospitals. And right now we are joined by Iman Abuzaid, who is the CEO and co-founder of Incredible Health. Hello, Iman.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. So I really want to get into this and talk about how this works. But for everybody watching, can we get a little bit of your background and what kind of led to where we're at right now with Incredible Health?
Sure. I'm a medical doctor by background. I've worked in hospital operations and strategy, and I've led product at a healthcare technology company. The reason we started this company is because a lot of my family members and friends are doctors and surgeons. They often complain about understaffing and not wanting to rely on contract nurses to take care of their patients. And at the same time, my co-founder, who's Rome Portlock, who's a software engineer from MIT, similar to you, Jake, comes from a family of nurses. And they're saying it takes me at least 2-3 months to get my next job. And I applied, I never hear back. And we were like, there has to be an easier and better way to do things.
Well, taking a look at that, so you have this idea of how you can make it easier and better. So what was the next step once you identified that issue?
Yeah, so we thought of different ideas to help make the process a lot more efficient. And so what we arrived at is what Incredible Health is today. And so the main ways it works is that the employers apply to the talent instead of the other way around. And the reason we're able to do that is because there's such a significant shortage of healthcare workers, especially nurses. It is the biggest labor sector in the US. Healthcare is. It employs the most workers, and in less than 5 years, we're going to be 1 million nurses short. So this is one of the biggest shortages that this country faces.
That's a huge issue right there. Sorry, just to interject.
analytics, yeah. And what we've also done is we've largely automated the screening of the talent, and we've customized the matching between the employers and the talent. So everyone is having a personalized experience, and it dramatically accelerates the efficiency of the hiring process, and most importantly, the speed. Nurses get hired on our platform in less than 30 days, instead of it usually taking 90 days or more.
So how is it that you're able to do that?
Yeah, so we've done a couple of things. So for number one, the employers apply to the talent. So that's a big, and that's a big way of accelerating the hiring. The second is we've automated a lot of the screening of the talent. And then the third is we've customized and automated the matching between the employers and the talent. So the end result is hiring in less than 30 days instead of it taking 90 days or longer. And the hiring efficiency has gone up by 25x too.
Let's talk about some of the, I want to get back into that here in just a minute too, and talking about that connection and what that user experience is like. But you mentioned, the million nurse shortage that we could be facing. What are some of the ramifications of that? What are some of the biggest issues that the medical field is facing right now?
Yeah, so there's two major issues. Number one is quality of care, and number two is financials, right? So number one on quality of care is when you're understaffed as a hospital, you cannot deliver a high enough quality of care. And when a hospital is understaffed, they're spending on overtime, on contract workers, also that they don't contribute well to high quality of care. It's also contributing to more burnout for the nurses because they're being asked to work overtime. And a nurse that is working overtime is more than 2 times more likely to have to create a medication error and to increase readmissions. It also, lowers it also increases the likelihood of readmission as well. So
huge issues that we're looking at. So this is why this is so important. Well, I know there's also something specifically today that is being announced. Would you like to enlighten us on that?
That's right. So there's 2 things being announced. First, we are expanding from California to across the country. We've expanded throughout. We've built this platform in California. We have over 150 hospitals in California, including Stanford Healthcare, Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, large health systems, and then lots of community hospitals too. And so we are taking our product national now and our service national to all nurses. And then the second thing we want to announce is our $50 million Series A led by Jeff Jordan and Andreessen Horowitz, who in our opinion is the best marketplace investor in the world. And so we're very excited to have him on our board as well.
So with that, which congratulations on both of those, by the way. And looking at that, and talking about how now you're expanding to across the country, where do you see this going in say like 5 years? Where would you like to see it go?
So we are already the fastest growing hiring platform for permanent healthcare workers today. And so we want to take over this entire market, to be honest with you.
Nice.
We really want to, we're on a mission to help healthcare professionals live better lives and to help them find and do their best work. And to do that, when we're achieving that mission, we're also helping our clients get the best quality of care, and we're helping nurses get the best jobs possible.
Well, talking about on the nurses' side, as far as if there's somebody out there who wants to apply, who wants to get involved with this, what would be the first step that they would need to take to join up?
So they sign up on our site, incrediblehealth.com, and they create a profile. And honestly, after that, they sit back and relax. Our team will be in touch with them in less than 48 hours to get the rest of their preferences. And then within days, they are put in front of hospitals. And the hospital recruiters, they log in and they're able to apply directly to those nurses. So as a nurse, it's an amazing experience because you create a profile, you sit back and relax, and all these hospitals are going to come to you that are a great match for you. And you get to decide as a nurse if you want to accept that interview or if you don't want to.
Well, it sounds really amazing what you're doing, and definitely, getting ahead of what this issue is that we're going to have with this shortage of nurses. It sounds great all around. I'm sure I will be telling my family and friends that are nurses all about this. And Iman Abuzaid, thank you so much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live to talk about this. Really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
All right, so there we go, talking about a different platform and a different way to connect and to using technology to help solve an issue that's going to be coming up. So very, very cool. You can check out more about that at digitaltrends.com. All right, let's do this. We have a break coming up. We're going to fill you in on a few different news stories that are happening, and then we have Miguel Nunes from Qualcomm Technologies Inc., who's going to be joining us, talking about the Snapdragon 8cX compute platform and everything that's doing to help us with this concept of always-on computing. Really, really cool. So there's a huge discussion coming up with that. So stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. And welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Again, thank you for joining us. Drop your comments, your questions into whatever platform you are on, and we will address those as we go through the show. I'm Greg Nibbler. Let's talk about some other trending news topics, though, right now. Some of these you can read about right now at digitaltrends.com. And first off, let's talk about something in the biomedical technology field. And this is a trending story about another development, and we see a lot of developments happening when it comes to prosthetics and the ways that not only the actual prosthetic is advancing, but also the way those connections are made, and so that these things can be used in a better manner. And this is actually coming from a study right now that's talking about an artificial leg with actual realistic sensory feedback. And that's one of the key things, is changing these things so it really is more of an extension, so you get some of that feeling back that you had from an actual arm. So this is from Switzerland's Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. And what they're working on, there's a paper that just came out in the Journal of Nature Medicine, and it talks about a 3-month experiment where they did two above-knee amputee volunteers. They put the prostheses through their paces. They were able to attach this, but it's the way that they connect, the way that the nerves connect to it, to where they can actually get that physical response and feel as though they're touching something. Some of the examples of how this actually helped them out. They talked about walking. There was one of the patients talked about walking and how, if you're trying to adjust your gait, or you're going over rough terrain, or you're trying to move fast, it's difficult to know how to do that. I mean, just imagine that. I'm sure if you have one, you understand, but just imagining how hard that is, that's definitely really hard. So with this realistic neurofeedback, they were able to tell if they were walking over sand, walking over cement, walking over rocks, and could adjust themselves based on that feeling and this neurofeedback that they got. So really, really cool. These electrodes that they use, so they had electrodes that would attach to the prostheses and then would thereby send this information to the user. That was also worked with the University of Freiburg, so there were some scientists from that. So a lot of people involved in this, but the prospects of this going forward, what this could mean, how this could help people out, is great. And this is the kind of advancement in the biomedical field that we're seeing more and more of. We've talked before about different ways that people who are have eyesight issues, or blind, how there's different technologies that are being evolved to help them with that. This is another issue of that, where we can actually get back realistic movement and feeling to people who are missing a limb or whatever they're needing a prosthesis for. This is really cool. This is the kind of thing we like to see more of, and we've got a lot of coverage of that at digitaltrends.com, but this is a very cool study that just came out. Read more about it right there. All right, let's give you a couple other trending stories right now. This next one is a trending story, so it's my job to bring these to you, and it has to do with a robot, in particular one that's kind of creepy when you look at it at first. So here's what it is. This is in London, where researchers have come up with a swimming robot that can fly and leap out of the water. I'm going to describe the process. I'm going to let you draw your own conclusions based on what's written below me right now. So here's how it works. And there's a reason they're doing this, but I want to talk about the actual chemical side of it first, because that's actually the really, really cool side of this, despite the freakiness of what the video shows. So this robot looks like essentially a flying fish. So there it is in the water, but look how it pops up out of the water. So there is a stream of water coming out of it. That is the propellant. That is what it's using. And the thing is, there's very little else on this. It is actually using the water to create the propellant based on a chemical reaction. So within that robot, there is a small pump that will bring in the water, and when the water gets in there, it will interact with what's called calcium carbide powder. So those two things combining together create an explosion. And that is what's powering it out of the water. Once it's out, it can glide up to 26 meters is how far this thing can get, which is actually pretty amazing, and for a couple of reasons. One, because it doesn't have to carry fuel on it, you don't have to worry about much of a battery. That's just this chemical reaction. They can really find power virtually anywhere. And what they're saying that this could be used for is going into environments that aren't safe for people, which is what a lot of robotics is being used for. It's to take care of jobs that are either too dangerous for people, or we just can't get to these locations. And so what it would be able to do is take samples of water. They said examples, after an accident, after a nuclear accident, they even listed, or after a natural disaster and to actually get in there and test the water, then be able to fly back out and bring that to you. So it's reusable. You can gather that data. You can reuse this thing. And another key part of it is just that chemical reaction. So there's so much that could be opened up with that if they can utilize it in this small robot. How much more can we expand upon that? Because if water and just a little bit of a chemical reaction with some chemicals can give you all that power, that's pretty amazing. What we could do with that kind of technology, and seeing that, if it could be extrapolated out to something bigger or something else, you look at like space exploration, if we could utilize it somewhere in there. A lot that's going a little further along than, a flying fish robot. But still, that's what we're looking at. So these are researchers at the Imperial College London, and this is what they're doing. So that's what they've worked on so far. You can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. All right, final thing we're going to talk about is an invention and an award winner for something that we may have to be worrying about in the future. So we all know about autonomous vehicles, right? It's going to be coming. Everybody's working on them. There are places where you can already get in one, but eventually they are going to be what are driving our cars. That's just the way it's going to be, at least the majority in cities. We're going to see a lot of autonomous cars. So it's time to start thinking about how we actually interact with them when they're on the road. It's not like it's somebody you could just yell at and say, hey, stop, if there's an issue going on. These things need to understand their environment, and there is a particular person who was looking at this problem, and he wanted to, Philip Siwek, I want to make sure I got his name, Philip Siwek. So he was thinking about this, about how autonomous cars would interact with bikes on the road. And the fact that really when you look at it, if you're talking about LiDAR or any kind of a scanning system with cameras, a bike is a very slim piece of that road. It's very nimble, it moves a lot. You think about just looking at a bike rider as an object, which is what it would be looking at, it's very hard to see and understand what's going on. So what he came up with is some specific clothing that autonomous cars can read. Now we're looking at it, it looks like a bunch of QR codes. Well, that's essentially what it is. And if a LiDAR is scanning, if this autonomous vehicle is scanning, it can read that and understand what it's looking at. It can know, oh, just scan that. That's a bike. This is going this fast. This is how I should drive when I'm around this bike. I should be aware that it could be swerving, and can actually tell the car to be cognizant of its surroundings. It's actually a really smart idea, and something that I think a lot of us just really haven't thought about, of how do we interact with these autonomous vehicles on the road. Once that happens, again, it's dangerous enough riding a bike on a city street with actual human drivers. This could be maybe safer, but still you want to know that you can communicate to it and have it understand that you are there. It needs to be able to see you, and this is one way it could see you, is with this kind of clothing. So it's a kind of a cool invention. Again, this is from Philip Siwek, so based in Vancouver, Canada, won the IDEA International Design Conference Award, so won an award there for this design. But you can read more about it at Digital Trends. Interesting concept, and kind of a foreshadowing of some of the things we're going to have to think about as we go forward with autonomous vehicles and we see more of these on the road. All right, Again, just bringing you up to date on some trending stories, and that is what we like to talk about here at Digital Trends, is keep you up to date on the technology that affects your life, and that's what we're going to be doing next. We have Miguel Nunes from Qualcomm Technologies who's going to be joining us to talk about the Snapdragon 8cx compute platform and this concept of always-on computing and what that's going to mean going forward. So excited to have this segment, so stick around. We'll be back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler. This segment is sponsored by Qualcomm Technologies, Inc. We're going to be talking about the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8cx compute platform and what that means for always-on computing. And we have a perfect guest for this segment right now. We have Miguel Nunes, the Senior Director of Product Management for Qualcomm Technologies. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Really want to get into this, and we're going to kind of break it down. And for everybody who's watching live, this is exciting. This is talking about the future of technology that's right here, right now. But I think one of the main questions I want to ask, just right out of the gate, is Qualcomm certainly known for their cutting-edge mobile technology,
Yes.
That is absolutely one of the things. But I want to ask, what is Qualcomm doing now entering into the PC space, and how this all works?
It's a great question. And as if you look at Qualcomm, what people know Qualcomm for, Qualcomm's a pioneer in wireless technologies and other technologies that sort of, improves people's lives. Everyone knows them from the phones and all other areas. And one of the things we've seen is as people are getting used to this connectivity, being always connected, all our devices are connected, and so we have all the capabilities to bring those same features and functionality that people have fallen in love with on their phones. We now have those capabilities and bringing them to the PC. Why not? Everybody wants to be connected. We're moving to a connected world.
Yeah.
And all those great features and value apply fantastic to a PC as well.
Well, let's talk about some of the actual functionality. So what are some of the things that this is allowing you to do?
Yeah. So we have great GPU technologies, fantastic CPU. Look at the wireless side. We have LTE, and in the future coming, 5G is coming, which is going to enable a lot of capabilities for all kinds of devices and technologies. We have a lot of AI capabilities in our chipsets as well. Those will also come to all kind of devices, including the PC. We just have built a lot of capabilities into our chipsets, into these little small chips that fit in phones, and those same capabilities apply to other devices, including PC. So we just have a lot of great things coming. Power consumption is fantastic, connectivity is fantastic, all kinds of things, and you'll see all fantastic devices coming in the future.
I would think, the battery life probably with that kind of processing power would improve. That's something I always look for, is better battery life. I always want to know about that when it comes to laptops.
Yeah, you and everybody else. I think the number one thing you hear about people when they talk about their PC, nobody likes battery.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the challenges in the industry has always been that nobody believes the battery, because when you look at the advertising on a PC, it tells you it's 12 hours, 16 hours. Nobody gets anywhere near that. So people subtract, divide by 2, subtract a certain amount, and that's when you get. We're excited because we can actually deliver multi-day battery life. You can use the device for multiple days without ever worrying about where your charger is, which we think is just a really industry-changing capability. And the device is always connected, just like your phone. We don't have to hibernate. It's really always on, always connected, bringing that true mobile experience to the PC.
Well, let's talk about, in particular, this one that you have right here. I know this is Samsung's Galaxy Book S. So let's use this as an example piece of what different ways that you're utilizing this technology in here.
Yeah, so this is the Samsung's Galaxy Book S that was announced in early August. If you can see this device, it is a beautiful, thin and light device, and no fans. We don't believe in fans. Our products don't require fans. They run very cool, very high performance, very premium looking, and you get 23 hours of battery life on it. LTE capability, always connected, always on.
And so taking a look at this, and again, I tried this, I was picking this up before we went on air. I was like, this is incredibly light. So talking about that side of it too, I mean, this is really pretty impressive, and this is taking advantage of the 8CX compute platform.
That is correct. Yeah, the 8CX is our next generation compute platform. Our previous platforms leveraged a lot more of our mobile processing capabilities. The 8CX we've built from the ground up for computing, for PCs. And so we've increased the performance of the CPU, GPU. It's got a great camera, great audio. And so this is the first product announced with the 8CX and taking advantage of all those capabilities that we've brought in this chipset.
Well, one thing you touched on was the LTE side of things. I really want to talk about that because we're so used to that as mobile technology. This is how we stay connected all the time. How does this translate into this and getting into this concept of always-on computing?
Yeah, it's a good question, and you're right. People aren't used to having your PC connected. And there's no reason why your PC can't be connected. Everything else is connected. Your phones are connected. Your water meter in your house is connected. Everything is connected. Why shouldn't your PC be connected? And so we have, for us, LTE is just part of the chipset. It's integrated into the solution. Your device switches between different connections depending on where you are, and it's automatically done for you. So the user doesn't even have to know about what connection is on. It's just always on and always connected. It takes care of itself. The other advantage of LTE, which I think is very often overlooked, is the security aspect of it.
Yes.
LTE is a much more secure medium than Wi-Fi is. There's a lot of problems with public Wi-Fi. There's a lot of information gets stolen in public Wi-Fi, and LTE gives you this connection, the same as your phone, and it's just very liberating to actually have the capability. When I travel now, I travel a lot with my device. I have a device like this. I never ask people what's your Wi-Fi password. I can use it at airports. I can use it at coffee shops. In fact, I've pulled over the side of the road to take conference calls and present from my PC. And it just you don't have to worry about where you are to use your device. So it's just liberating.
That is the dream right there.
Exactly.
Battery life that's long and always connected. Yeah, I hate that struggle of always trying to find Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and a lot of times the Wi-Fi, even public Wi-Fi not being secure.
Yeah.
But even when you find it, it is just the performance is terrible, and a lot of times they want your email address. You'll get spam, all kinds of stuff. So public Wi-Fi is, free Wi-Fi is not a great experience, and it's not very secure.
It's not really as free as they advertise it.
That is correct.
Talking about this, from the LTE standpoint, and looking at it from a mobile user, like what would you expect? And I just want to ask, from like a bill standpoint, or from how you incorporate that in, what kind of charges, or how would that actually work?
Yeah, it's a good question, and the answer really depends where in the world you are.
Okay.
We have seen that a lot of the data plans from mobile operators are evolving. They were originally fixed device, fixed charge. Now you're starting to see families of plans. Mm-hmm. You're seeing multi-device plans as PCs, tablets, watches, phones. I think we've moved beyond the one device type model. I think you're going to see a lot more combination models in the future.
Yeah.
With 5G introduces a lot more capacity to these operator networks, and it's going to reduce the cost per bit significantly, and that translates into savings for the consumer. So, and we've already seen this in Europe, for example. We've seen certain markets where you get a certain amount of data, you buy a certain amount of data, whether it's 50 gigabytes, 100 gigabytes, and they don't actually care how many devices you put on it. So if you want to put 3, 4, 5, you decide, because it's your data, you use it when you use it. And so those are the models that we think are going to change the dynamics of people even thinking about connecting something. Of course you want to connect it, because it just changes what you do with the device, changes how you use the device.
So as this evolves and as we see this incorporated more and more into computers, into laptops, we'll see that kind of shift to that model.
Yeah, and we've seen even in the US, we've seen some of the operators be already very aggressive with pricing plans for PCs. And we think that will continue to evolve. So we think the concern about how much does it cost per month versus what it does for you, we think over time will really disappear.
Well, you gave a couple of examples for your own personal uses of this kind of technology.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more, just for everybody out there, how this can actually be utilized in their everyday life.
Yeah, I mean, even whether it's for work, whether it's for personal, the examples I gave were sort of work-related, but the feedback we've seen from users on the product is that it enables them to work from anywhere. I mean, really anywhere. Whether you're a salesperson traveling, you never have to worry about where am I going to connect. And even people will say, "Oh, I have a hotspot on my phone." It's not a great experience. You're doing it today, the hotspot, because you have no choice. Mm-hmm. It's not because you want to do it, right? And draining your phone and all kinds of things. And so we've seen salespeople. We've even seen, a lot of executives as they travel. We've seen, real estate. We've seen even just, even if it's somebody who occasionally uses it, the value that you get for those extra few hours of productivity is amazing.
That one time you forgot to upload a file, and then boom, you're right
exactly.
there. You can do it. Yeah.
And and as companies, you'll see a lot of companies moving to the cloud. Mm-hmm. As you kind of take your data, you're moving it to OneDrive, whether it's OneDrive, whether it's Google Drive, whatever the cloud solution provider your company's using or you're using. The connectivity piece is essential, because your data doesn't reside on your device anymore. It resides in the cloud. And you need to be able to get your data anytime, anywhere, without depending on a public Wi-Fi or somebody else's connection. And so we think as those use cases evolve and as the sort of modern workplace transforms, because it's happening today. A lot more people work remote. A lot of more people, travel. As those kind of use cases evolve, these devices, connection and having connected all the time, everywhere, and being able to use it all day, become essential to you to be able to be productive.
I mean, it's perfect for that remote work environment, just like you said. Yeah, to be able to work on the go and have that, always on computing. Be connected so you can get your work done, but also be in, maybe at the beach or wherever you're at.
Oh yeah,
have connection.
I've actually done that. When I travel, I travel with just my device. I don't take a bag. Just this. I don't take a bag. I don't take a power supply. I don't take anything because I know it's going to last. So I walk with this little thing under a kilogram. I walk with it under my arm, through security, through TSA, and then I get on a plane. I do a day trip. I come home, and I know I'm always connected, always on. I work wherever I can. And we've actually had examples of, I've actually taken conference calls from a beach, a video conference call. You obviously have to turn to make sure people don't know where you are. But I've taken conference calls from the beach, I've taken from the car, I've taken from wherever I can. And just the performance of the LTE and 5G networks when they come is fantastic. You're getting hundreds of megabits per second. This is not what it used to be 10 years ago. In fact, most of the time, it's much faster than your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And so you just have all those capabilities. You can do it anytime, anywhere.
What I'm hearing is Digital Trends Live is going to be from the beach, I think, pretty soon.
Why not? Why not? Yes. There's a good spot in Maui somewhere for you guys.
I love it. Well, talking about we're talking about the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8cx compute platform, and just a couple of other questions I have for you, because you did mention AI and some of the power that this allows, computers to process. How do you see that being integrated into this?
Yeah, we have, as part of our mobile kind of DNA, we've got a lot of heterogeneous computing built into our chipsets, a lot of very specific functions in there that don't depend on a CPU. And we've added a lot of those capabilities into our phones, and we're bringing those capabilities into the PC. And, it's very new. It's going to evolve. There's a lot of everything. There's a lot of discussion about AI and what it does for you. But we're starting to see very interesting things, even productivity things, whether you're on a call, it blurs your background, or it changes your background you're in a call so you can hide when you're in Maui. And whether you're on a voice call, it improves your voice quality, noise canceling. Or even if you're using productivity tools that corrects your slides for you, or if you're using a pen, which all these devices support pens. If you're using devices, it corrects your handwriting. And so there's all these kind of innovations starting to happen. We provide a lot of processing power, and the key for a lot of these capabilities is you got to do it very low power, or else there goes your battery.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of processing power, very low battery consumption on these devices. So we're very future-proof as these technologies evolve. We still just started, scratching the surface with AI. There's a lot of things that are still going to come.
I think that's a great way to look at it. Yeah, future-proofing for what all this stuff is, as it's evolving constantly. You're going to be ready.
Yeah, exactly. Assistants doing different things for you. There's a lot of potential with AI as it evolves.
Well, Miguel, thank you so much for joining us. Again, we're talking about the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8cx compute platform and what it can do for you. And this is just an example. We're talking about the future, but really it's here right now. And this is showcasing, this concept of always-on computing and what it can do for you. So very, very exciting. Miguel, really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. We're excited about bringing these great products to market.
I'm going to have to take a look at this after the segment. All right. I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us here on Digital Trends Live. We appreciate it. We've got more coming up. We're broadcasting live, so drop in your comments, your questions back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. We have reached the end of our programming today, but I want to recap some of the things that we covered because there's a lot for you to follow up on here today. And again, thank you to everybody who joins us here every single day. This is so much fun. Starting off at the top of the show, we had Adrian Warner in here, and we were covering some of the top stories of the day, including the Google Pixel 4 leaks that came out there. So a lot of that, we've got coverage at digitaltrends.com. Amazing guests on today's show. First off, Delilah Dawson, author of Black Spire. That is the book about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. So cool. That was a really fun interview for me, trying not to nerd out while we did that, but it was still a lot of fun. So huge thank you to Delilah for joining us for that segment. Caleb Dennison recapping what he saw at IFA as far as televisions and what that may signal for the future. It could be really exciting coming up for CES this year and for the fall. So it's definitely something you'll want to go back through and watch again. We had Iman Abu Zaid, the CEO and co-founder of Incredible Health, joined us talking about their platform for connecting nurses to different hospitals and doctors because we're going to have a shortage of that, and so this is actually going to help that out. So really cool platform to hear from. And then, of course, Miguel Nunes, Senior Director of Product Management at Qualcomm Technologies, Inc. Really appreciated him coming in here talking about that Qualcomm Snapdragon 8CX compute platform. Very exciting, and it's always exciting here at Digital Trends Live, and that's because you're watching. Thank you for watching. So hit that subscribe button to make sure you get the notifications. We'll be back live at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 Eastern for Trends with Benefits, our Roundtable Tech podcast. It's a video too. We have a lot of fun. We're going to talk about cameras and the evolution of cameras and as they go through and where we're at right now and where it's going to be in the future. So really exciting conversation. We want you to join that, and we want you to join here every day. So again, hit that subscribe button. We'll talk to you tomorrow with more Digital Trends Live.